Welcome back. Today I'm going to explain episode 6 to 10 of the Sword Art Online. Be ready for some spoilers are ahead. Episode 6 begins dramatically when Kirito begins to run after the one who kills Yoko. Kirito sees an item in his hand that the murderer uses for teleportation. He disappears at once. Kirito returns to Asuna, who gets mad at him. Schmidt realizes it can be Grisela's ghost. Kirito disagrees with the existence of ghosts. Afterward, Asuna offers something to eat to Kirito. Kirito tastes it and feels it delicious. Asuna warns him to eat swiftly or else it will get disappeared due to the object's durability. Kirito keeps on talking until the eatable gets disappeared. He judges it as the object in the safer zone that gets disappeared, not the player. Furthermore, Schmidt reaches out to Grisela's grave and asks for forgiveness by crying bitterly. Suddenly, a monster appears and Schmidt considers her Grisela. Schmidt begins to reveal a story that he had a crystal in his pouch and the instructions were given to him. Another monster appears and Schmidt considers him Grimlock. Schmidt says that I was instructed to place the crystal in the guild store. He hears a different voice at once and sees Kynes and Yoko up front. They both have recorded what Schmidt described. Later, Asuna and Kirito come to know through Schmidt that Kynes and Yoko are alive. Kirito adds that Kynes had an object on his chest, and since his HP did not drop to 0, he used a crystal teleport to stay alive. The object tends to disappear here. Kirito further says Yoko did not show her back when she was talking with us and only showed when the equipment's durability fell to 0. Henceforth, they conclude a trick is played by Kynes and Yoko to exhibit their fake death in a safe zone to make people think about it. In this way, they would be able to get to Grisela's murderer. This is the reason they make Schmidt the scapegoat. Schmidt, however, explains that Kynes and I never had enmity with Grisela, and the money I used for the weapon. Suddenly, Schmidt gets the dagger and witnesses 3 monsters appear with a group named Laughing Coffin. Now then, Kynes, Yoko, and Schmidt fear the situation. Laughing Coffin decided to kill them, but Kirito shows up with a horse, stops them, and warns he has backup players to battle. Laughing Coffin has to concede and retreats. Yoko apologizes for the activities they are performing. Kynes depicts that we have to beg Grimlock to make a weapon for us. Kirito explains Grimlock is doing so to get the attention. While sitting in a restaurant, Asuna tells Kirito that a person should marry another player for the sake of shared storage. It creates love and the store stays open. Kirito makes fun of it at first and then realizes if this is the case, who would get the storage if one of the spouse dies. They put the scenario of Grimlock and Grisela, thus concluding it is Grimlock who is having storage and possession of a ring. At once, Asuna and Kirito reach out to Yoko and shares everything. Kirito explains Grimlock did not kill himself but selected murderers to kill Grisela, and those were Laughing Coffin. Soon after, Asuna appears with the Grimlock. Grimlock shares that Grisela was a good lover in the real world, but as soon as he came into the virtual world, she became changed. I found no other option but to make her kill. Grimlock confesses and kneels. Schmidt pays thanks to Kirito and urges, since it is our matter so let us deal with it. Next, Asuna desires to be friends with Kirito. Before leaving for the restaurant, they see Grisela appears above the grave who is smiling at them. They turn out to be emotional. Episode 6 concludes. Episode 7 commences when a girl Lisbeth aka Liz is sharpening a sword for Asuna on floor 48 Linda's. The girl has to move out to meet someone and Liz begins to tease her. Kirito appears in Elizabeth Smith's shop and asks if Liz can make a sword for him. Liz shows him her favorite masterpiece, but its durability is lost during a shadow practice. Liz gets frustrated and requests Kirito to head to Western Mountain to get the best metal for the sword. Later, they both reach out to floor 55 Western Mountain. Liz feels an intense cold. Kirito gives him his jumper and requests Liz to hide behind the crystal if a dragon shows up. Consequently, the dragon appears and Liz hides behind the crystal. She is stunned by the skills of Kirito and the way he is battling the dragon single-handedly. Despite the warning, Liz moves out, and she has to become a victim of the dragon, which attacks her and throws her into the hole. While she is in the air, Kirito holds her, and they both fall into the hole, assuring they both are alright. Afterward, Liz wants to hold the hand of Kirito, which she does, and they both fall asleep. The following morning, Liz finds Kirito digging the ice to get the crystal metal. He gets that the crystal is called a crystalline ingot. Kirito attempts to run up the wall for survival but fails. The dragon comes back again. While battling, both Kirito and Liz use Dragon's body to get out of the hole. They get away from that and enjoy the time when the wind is blowing heavily. Liz loves this moment and turns up. She hugs Kirito warmly. Finally, They reach out to floor 48 Linda's. Liz thinks once I forge the crystal to turn it into a sword, I will show my feelings to Kirito. The sword is forged and Kirito feels it the best. Now, Liz begins to share what she feels for Kirito. She is on the verge until Asuna arrives. Asuna tells I was worried about you all day. After knowing that Kirito saves Liz, Asuna reveals I am the one who guided him about your shop. Kirito adds we are part of the same squad. Liz feels heartless and gets out of the spot. Kirito manages to find Liz and thanks to her for being a part of his life. Liz responds, I should forget what I felt about you, but the warmth of your hands will stay for a while. Liz urges Kirito to fight till the end to move to the real world. Lastly, she tells do come here to get the sword repaired. Episode 7 concludes. Episode 8 begins ferociously when Kirito is fighting with a monster. He manages to kill it and takes a sigh of relief. It's been 2 years now and Kirito is wondering how Akeko is feeling about it. Kirito then passes through a forest and kills the ragout rabbit in his second attempt. He meets Agile on floor 50 Algade, who is surprised by the killings from Kirito. If it is not about money, you better cook the rabbit. Kirito responds it requires a skill to cook and Asuna appears on the spot. Afterward, Kirito decides Asuna will cook for him. Agile wants to taste the food, but Kirito leaves by saying that he would send him a review. Asuna decides to choose her place for cooking, but her bodyguard, Kirito, does not want Asuna to party up with Kirito. Asuna reveals to Kirito that Kirito has better skills than you, which Kirito finds insulting. People gather there to witness and Asuna drags Kirito to her place on floor 61, Salzburg. The place amazes Kirito and finds it quite fancy and expensive. Asuna changes her cloth and is ready to cook. Kirito is impressed with the cooking skills of Asuna. She also cooks some side dishes. They both enjoy and eat it to the fullest. Asuna then explains how people are so obsessed with this place that they forget the real world. Kirito thinks the same way, but Asuna says I have to go back one day. Now then, Asuna offers Kirito to team up with her. Kirito asks about her bodyguard and Asuna replies I will leave him. Kirito accepts the offer. Asuna thanks him for coming over and desires we will keep on eating like this many times. Later, Kirito is jumped over by Asuna. She falls over him and Kirito feels some sensation that Asuna finds offensive. Asuna's bodyguard Kirito appears and requests Asuna to come along as per orders. However, Asuna reveals that she does not want to get protected. Kirito tries to take her away forcibly, but Kirito stops him and tells him he would protect Asuna. This leads them to the fight and everyone is stunned when the Kirito's sword is demolished by Kirito. Kirito tries to resume the fight with another sword, and this time Asuna stops him and commands him to leave her and wait for further orders. Kirito leaves for Granzem angrily. Next, Asuna and Kirito manage to kill another monster on floor 74 dungeon. They find a door then and suspect this could be the boss's room. They open it and find a gigantic boss, the Gleam Eyes. They are shocked and episode 8 ends here. Episode 9 starts when the boss tries to attack them. Both Kirito and Asuna find themselves weak and move out. They sit in a corner talking to use a shield sword to combat the boss. Asuna tells she does not use the shield as her sword gets delicate. Asuna is astonished why Kirito is not using the sword Liz made for him. Anyhow, Asuna offers Kirito to eat something and shows him what she has cooked in the Aincrad so far. Suddenly, Klein and his men appear and are surprised to see Kirito with a girl. Klein asks, "You are a solo player, but what is that girl thing?" Asuna responds, "I have been partying up with him for much time." Klein's teammates could not keep their eyes off Asuna. Hereafter, troops of the Aincrad Liberation Army come there. They all are tired except for Colonel Korvats. Colonel wants to get the map from Kirito to enter the boss room. Klein does not want Kirito to give away as they have faced many challenges for that. Colonel responds, "We have been kind to the civilians, so it's your turn now." Kirito gives it to him and the tired army marches toward the boss's room. During so, Klein kills his last dragon and fearing Kazan Guild is all set to enter the boss room. Kirito hears the scream from troops in the boss room and suggests using crystal teleport. Unfortunately, it is not working. Korvats dies in front Kirito. They have to enter the room, which they do. They find the troops injured. Kirito thinks about Sachai at this time. Henceforth, Kirito and Asuna start fighting with the boss. Kirito requests Asuna and Klein to keep the boss's concentration away for 10 seconds. Afterward, Kirito gets the skill that he is always scared to use. He uses that skill, fighting hard against the boss. The rest of the players are stunned. Asuna is scared while Klein stays speechless. Kirito finally manages to kill the boss. He becomes unconscious for some moments as the usage of skill brings him to his lowest HP. As soon as he gets conscious, Asuna cries bitterly and hugs Kirito tightly. Next, Klein wants to know the skill and Kirito responds it's a dual-wielding skill. Klein receives no information about that skill ever before and forbids Kirito to share it with anyone. Klein then departs the place by praising Kirito. Kirito then heads to floor 50, Algade, where he receives appreciation from Agile. Moreover, Asuna appears and tells Kirito we have an issue to deal with. It is the commander of Knights of the Blood Oath, Heathcliff, who calls him upon on floor 55, Grand Zim. Heathcliff complains if you want to keep Asuna by your side, you have to compete with me with your dual welding. If you win, Asuna is yours, losing means you will join Knights of the Blood Oath. Kirino agrees and episode 9 ends here. Episode 10 begins on floor 75. Kalinia is all set to host the fight. Spectators are gathering in number. Asuna tells Kirito that Heathcliff has a unique skill. Kirito already knows it all about the Divine Blade of Heathcliff, best for the attack and defense. Asuna complains that it is just happening because of me. It's time for a fight now and the crowd is roaring. Kirito starts attacking and Heathcliff is defending easily. Heathcliff is impressed with Kirito's skills. Soon after, Kirito finds a room to attack. He thinks he is there, but Heathcliff attacks him and throws him to the other side. Kirito's HP level drops and Heathcliff wins. The crowd goes berserk. Afterward, Kirito is dressed in a uniform. With a slight disappointment, Asuna asks Kirito why he feels reluctant to join the guild. Kirito shares he was once a part of the guild named Moonlit Black Cats. Their levels were quite low, but those people were full of life. They all were killed one day, including Sachai. I survived because of my high levels. Asuna feels for him and tells him I am not going to die and will help him in all challenges. Now the forward commander of the guild, Godfrey, wants to party with Kirito. Asuna dislikes the idea as she believes Kirito is more skillful. Godfrey reminds Asuna that you cannot betray the orders. Kirito has to accept it and moves to the western gate. Godfrey brings Kirito and requests to end the differences. Kirito apologizes for being so rude to Kirito. Godfrey then gets their crystal to assess how they face the danger. Eventually, they get to floor 55, dungeon entrance, where Godfrey orders them to take a break. When they start drinking, Godfrey gets poison and Kirito gets some of it too. It was Kirito who mixed poison in their drinks. Kirito finds no time to kill Godfrey as he wants to be authoritative. Kirito reaches out to Kirito, who notices Kirito is from a Laughing Coffin guild. Kirito strikes Kirito hard until he drops to the lowest HP. He gathers courage by thinking of Asuna. Kirito is on the brink of his death and suddenly Asuna appears and slams Kirito badly. Kirito begs that he wants to live, but suddenly he lifts a sword and Kirito gets in the middle. He is injured, but it does not stop him to kill Kirito. Both Asuna and Kirito promise they would help out each other and will get to the real world. Therefore, Kirito wants to spend a night with Asuna. Asuna expects some romance, but Kirito tells I just want to spend. Later, Kirito promises Asuna to buy a house in the southwest of floor 22 and will get married. Asuna affirms and tears of joy flow from her eyes. Episode 10 concludes. Thanks for watching.